Welcome to Multifamily Grit, where we bring in the experts to share their stories of the celebrations and struggles of one of the most important industries in the U.S., multifamily property management. I am joined today by Patti Higgins, Director of Property Management at Parktown Living, a rapidly growing property management firm that has more than tripled in size since its launch in August 2023, thanks in large part to Patti's leadership and strategic vision. Patti brings a powerhouse background in multifamily real estate. Before Parktown, she was Vice President of Operations at Asset Living, overseeing 4,400 units across the Southeast and Southwest. And she also played a key role at JMG Realty, where her region doubled in size, and she led property transitions following acquisitions and dispositions. Earlier in her career, Patti held asset management roles at Alden Torch Financial and LaSalle Investment Management, managing $400 million in equity investments across new construction, single-family, and mixed-use portfolios. She also spent 17 years at Deutsche Bank, where she oversaw 18,000 units nationally. Today, we're talking about Patti's incredibly successful career journey, how she's become a revered go-to in the multifamily industry, and how personal life changes can play a huge role in professional growth. And of course, we'll touch on what she's currently focused on as Parktown continues to thrive in the industry. But before we get started, we're sponsored today by the only core property management operating system built with an emphasis for affordable owners and operators. Fortress revolutionizes affordable management with features focused on automating housing assistance charges and payments to keep your ledgers clean and accurate, centralizing file reviews and document storage through Fortress and AWS, and a free in-system smart waitlist to ensure your property stays in compliance. And don't forget, if you like what you hear today, please like, subscribe, and share with someone you think would enjoy this episode. So, Patti, thank you so much again for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for our conversation. I've got so many little things I want to chat about. But before we dig in, would you mind sharing with our listeners how you got your start in the multifamily industry?
Sure. I don't know of many people who plan on doing this.
I know.
Now of course they have courses you can major in this,
Yeah.
but I was probably like many other people um, around my age. I was looking for an apartment,
Yeah.
and I thought um, this these people are nice. And it was my first, I had a roommate before. I'd had an apartment with a roommate, but this is my first time without a roommate. And so it was kind of a big deal. And I was looking for an apartment, and I thought how nice the people were. And as part of the shtick that you do when you're showing an apartment, what do you do? This is what I do. And and they said, well, we have an opening here. And I
Yeah.
thought this looks like so much fun. So that is exactly how I got into the industry. I was hired as a bookkeeper and
Oh.
was promoted to a leasing consultant, and was fortunate enough to be with a very good company, which is highly underrated
Yeah.
these days. So and then I just gradually grew. My career grew after that to an assistant manager, then a manager. And at the time, I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is my hometown. And then I moved to Atlanta, and the rest is history. Some ups and downs along the ways, of course.
Yeah.
But so that's how it all started.
Oh, I love it. I think back to my time living in my first apartment in undergrad, actually, and how I had no idea the world that goes on behind that to make sure that apartment communities
Oh my
are
goodness.
maintained.
And I'm really going to date myself because I'm not going to tell how long ago that was, but um it was long before email. Let me just say that.
Mm.
And ledger cards. Oh my gosh, I'm telling my age. But it's just interesting to watch. And I actually think if you don't grow with this industry or any industry, you get left behind.
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to really make certain that I stay in tune and in touch,
Yeah.
and hire people young people around me who have them around me who help keep us young and relevant.
Oh, I love that. Um,
Hmm.
that's, it's so interesting because I have a few, I it wasn't that long ago that I feel like I was the youngest person in the team on the team in the room. I am now closer to the oldest person on the team and in the room. In my teams, I am. And so, but it is a unique perspective to um, listen to kind of the youth rising up. Although I don't have that experience much on site anymore. So, and
Right.
you told me you just spent a few weeks actually on site. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing the past few weeks.
Well, Parktown is in a growth mode,
Okay.
thankfully.
Yeah.
Um, we so when we started Parktown, we had four properties. Our parent company is Investors Management Group,
Yeah.
and they were my client
Oh,
actually.
okay.
A great client, wonderful people. And so they were forming a property management company, bringing some of the management in-house. And so they asked me if I would come run it for them. And
Mm,
I was never thought I would leave my current employer because I've been there for a very long time.
yeah.
But it sounded quite appealing to me. And I liked the idea, the thought of building something and creating something, a culture
Yeah.
that could be built upon, frankly, and
Yeah.
to for other people to grow and learn from that. And so for like a year, a little over a year, we had about 1,000 units. Um, it was right after, the COVID hangover that everybody was dealing with and delinquencies and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So then we decided to transition five other properties in the Carolinas to Parktown management. And that went very well because the owner, um, Investors Management Group, they represent the investors for the properties. They own, what we refer to as the owner, and they were still the parent company.
Okay.
So, um, so we transitioned those properties, and just 2 weeks ago, we transitioned five properties in the San Antonio area. So it's been it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Some days more than others. So it's been a great experience. It is a great experience. You learn what not to do, and it has been quite busy. And getting to know a lot of the people on site,
Yeah.
um, and and helping them get acclimated to Parktown
Mhm.
has been just an absolute pleasure, and it's what I sort of get a kick out of, and it inspires me actually, and I think you reach a point in your career, for me anyway, where the people that inspire you go from, and the thing that people that you learn the most from are not necessarily the people that supervise you, but the people you supervise.
Yeah.
Um, and I certainly am inspired by all of those people
Yeah.
and the people that supervise me still.
I love that. Do you, because you've kind of mentioned that a few times now that um it's a really unique opportunity to get to learn from, and I couldn't agree more, to get to learn from the younger generations who are just experience life in a very different way. And like
Yeah,
even my 14-year-old, I just feel like his exposure to the world is just unique. It's just a unique
yes,
generation. And so,
right.
yeah, so you've said it a few times. I couldn't agree with more. Did anything happen over the past few weeks where you were like, I don't know, where you learned something or specifically inspired by anything that happened?
Oh gosh, things happen every day
Yeah.
where I learn something. Um, I think I'm always eager and excited to learn, and I mean I literally learn something every day.
Yeah.
And what I think what's been eye-opening and continues to be eye-opening are the things that you don't expect to learn,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how important. This sounds like an understatement, but it's so true. How important culture and a philosophical approach, and a lot of people think that is soft management. And I could not disagree more. I think that it is crucial
Mm-hmm.
to have smart people who understand the importance of creating an environment that people want to come to work, where people want to come to work every day.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's no such thing as a perfect company. There are no perfect supervisors. There are no perfect employees. Um, and just learning from that and helping people learn from that
Mm-hmm.
has been so rewarding. And to see the people enjoy it and want to come back and want
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate that has been so meaningful.
Yeah. I agree. I've actually talked about this book a few times on the podcast. It's called Drive by Daniel Pink, and it talks about like
Hmm.
what motivates people. And they've done so many studies, and across the board, his underlying thesis is that money does not motivate people, but that so many other things do. And I think you could bucket all those other things into like culture. It might be, whether or not they receive enough time off, or whether or not they're working like 5 days a week for just 4 10s, or if, their culture at their work is like constant um verbal praise, or whatever it is. But it all does come down to culture, and you've mentioned this quite a bit, and you said it, that over the past 2 weeks you've been on site and you've been acclimating the team to Parktown, right?
Hmm.
These 5 new properties. So what does that mean for you? What does acclimating them to Parktown mean, and what is the culture like?
I actually explain it um, where I feel like the people on site run the real estate, um, and I feel like we work for them.
Mm-hmm.
That often sometimes means that it doesn't mean that you don't have um, direction or you don't give direction and that you don't provide leadership. It's just the way that you do it is, I think, what makes it so meaningful. And I think you have to show people that sometimes you do have to have tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We have high expectations. I also feel like we should provide a lot,
Mm-hmm.
as well. We should provide. We should deliver. We should deliver what people expect, um, as well. And so, I think that is what has been a turning point, um, for this industry is to realize you have to have hustle and you have to have a heart. And I mean, I have a plaque in my office that says hustle and heart will set you apart. And I firmly believe that hustle and making tough decisions and having tough conversations, and hearing feedback when someone is observing something that maybe you didn't know they were observing or that you weren't aware of. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important to have that. And I work in an environment where that is absolutely present. And I think it's important to deliver that and for people to feel safe, um, and know that the expectations are high.
Yeah. I love that hustle and heart. And agree completely. I think that one of the ways to achieve extremely high performing teams, and teams who have long tenure, is really through that safety, like creating a safe environment for them. How do you do that with your teams?
I let them know, by displaying it, hopefully, that um, it's okay. We encourage having an opinion. We encourage respectful feedback. Um, and that, I mean, that's really the bottom line. We
Yeah.
respect their opinions, we respect what they have to say, and we expect the same thing in return. It's a two-way street. And
Mm-hmm.
if one person is not holding up their end of the bargain, someone's going to look elsewhere
Yeah.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it sounds oversimplified, but I think that is the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, you even mentioned you're hiring right now, which of course, you're growing. So of course you're hiring. I'm in the same place. We're hiring. Fortress is hiring right now too, and it is shocking still to this day. And I think that COVID had a huge impact on this, but it's still shocking to this day the incredible talent that's out there looking. And sometimes when I interview people, I'm like,
Um,
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for your employer that you're interviewing right now because you seem fantastic. Like, so then I'm like, what is going on there? That's not working. And I just think it's we underestimate like how much energy we should be putting into our team members and the culture to create that allegiance and that happiness on the part of our team members. I mean,
and in an environment where people want to do well,
yeah.
um, and they strive for excellence. And it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. And I don't do it well 100% of the time. I mean, I fall far short many times. And I look to the people that report to me,
Mm-hmm.
who I learned so much from, and they're so good and they're so smart, um, and they're extremely helpful. And that I learn a lot. I learn a lot from them,
Mm-hmm.
and from the people that are managing the real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned, yes, that the people on site run the real estate and we work for them. And I love that. You and I have discussed the mentality of servant leadership and how important that is. What does servant leadership mean to you?
Well, I feel like I've kind of talked about it a lot
Yeah.
so far. It it means that you are you're willing to hear people, their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You're willing to let them know their success is extremely important. We
Yeah.
want to build an environment where we want to watch them grow.
Yeah.
They feel it's conducive to growing, and we celebrate their successes, and help them. And we ask them, "How can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I help you do something? Can I help you do this? Can I help you do that?"
Yeah.
And I think that is, you know, I will say it doesn't work 100% of the time. Um, Sometimes you have to sort of shift gears, but when it's the right person, when it's the right people, and you have the right leadership, it's a beautiful thing, and it
Yeah.
it really is rewarding, extremely rewarding.
Yeah, I agree. I People tell me a lot. They're like, "Oh, you must be such a great leader." And I'm like, "I don't think I am actually. I think I'm an okay leader. I think I'm okay. Um, I think I'm a terrible manager. I'm terrible at managing people. In fact, thank goodness that my current executive assistant is like he's just take charge, doesn't care, ask forgiveness, not permission, like whatever. He just jumps in there and does whatever, and
Right,
I love it because I'm terrible at this point in my career at managing people. I just don't want to manage anyone. I'm not.
right.
Oh,
It's like, why can't this be different? Why can't why can't it be different? Why can't it be simple and easy all the time? And
yeah,
it's not. And honestly, I many times I feel like I report to somebody who really on paper reports to me, because
yeah,
they know a whole lot more about
yeah,
about what's going on day to day, from an administrative standpoint,
yeah,
than I do. I mean, it's just the way that it is, and you can't do it all. You can't do it all yourself,
yeah,
and that's been a tough lesson for me to realize that I can't do it all myself,
yeah.
and I have to put people around me that are smarter than I am,
Yep.
frankly.
Yeah.
and are better at things than I am.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And so that the analogy for me is, like I'm an okay leader. I'm okay. I'm a terrible
I
manager.
feel like I am.
I'm a terrible manager, but I think I'm a really good partner, which is what I feel like you're describing. So like I put it in this spectrum, right, of like leaders who like are just constantly getting their team to feel like motivated and excited and like creating this vision. And then on the other side there's the manager who's like creating all the structure and the process and telling people exactly what to do.
Right.
But then I think in the middle there's a partner, and the partner doesn't necessarily have to motivate people because they surround themselves with people who are already motivated. And they definitely don't have to like direct the person all day long, because these people, they surround themselves with people who already know what to do, who are smarter than them in those domains, and who just get the job
Right.
done. And then I just kind of run around asking what I can do to help. And
I find
yeah,
myself in that situation as well. Yet I feel like if that is occurring and you have good people around you who know more than you do
yeah,
about a lot, then I think it will sort of morph into people looking to me and to them to be a leader.
mm-hmm,
And they will feel comfortable in that setting and in that type of environment.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of times I try to figure out what my team's weaknesses are and like where I need to help them, so that a lot of times they don't even have to ask me for that partnership. I just, like I know that my head of engineering, my CTO, struggles a little bit with like creating like structure and process for like anytime he needs to do any sort of big plan. Like he can do it, he can get the job done, but he does not like to sit down and like figure out, okay, here's the meetings that we have to have, here's the thing that we need to do, here's the whatever. He just is a
Right.
doer, right? He's more of a like reactive, let me get in and help the team save the day and get all the jobs done. And so I try really hard to pull out my kind of like structure and process driven brain to help him with
Mm,
those sort of things. And so I
right.
feel like the more that we could be like true partners to our team members, and like um
Yeah.
proactively understand where they might need help so that we can show up for them. That sort of, for me, that's kind of like, that's the ideal servant leadership that I'd love, that I enjoy, and that I think my team and I respond really well in.
Right. I would agree with that. I have found myself in the last um, several months surrounded by people who don't necessarily have a background in multifamily property
Oh,
management.
really?
They have real estate experience, but not
Yeah.
necessarily in multifamily property management. Um, I enjoy teaching that
Yeah.
and sort of why are we doing this
Yeah.
and what's the purpose? Because sometimes it can seem like, why on earth are you doing that?
Yeah.
And that makes no sense. That's not the way we do it in asset management or investment management or other lines of work, different sectors of the industry. Because as you know, there are many different sectors of this industry. But
Yeah.
um, and I think I find it rewarding when people um, this has happened a couple of times when people don't necessarily understand the whys and wherefores about doing something or a process or a
Hmm.
methodology, and to explain that and for people to get it and then to see it sort of come full circle is is I find
Yeah.
very rewarding.
Yeah.
Maybe because I like to teach.
No, I agree with that. I think I actually have said it many times before. There was an asset manager that I worked with for a long time when I was first getting my start in the industry, and she taught me so much about how she looks at the world. And
Yeah,
same on my side, obviously when I was trying to figure things out, I'm like, well, I that explains so much to me about how you think about things. Let me explain to you why this does not work in the property management operating space, or whatever that is. But it's so nice when you have
but
open minds like that and you can share.
yes, it is, and
Yeah.
I'm thankful to have that.
Yeah. So tell me, Parktown has just took over 5 more properties. So how many units are you guys at today?
We're right at 3,600, a
Oh,
little more than
wow.
3,600.
Yeah. Wow,
Yes.
that's some significant growth. Are you
I
growing?
hope that number's right.
Yeah. Somewhere around there. We can edit it out later if you
Yes,
don't. Um, so are you guys growing the corporate team right now too as you're growing on site?
we are. It's never
Yeah.
enough, of
Yeah.
course, but
Yeah.
we are. I mean, I feel blessed to have the team of people that we do. We are looking to add one or two more positions to
Yeah.
our corporate team. We are, because we're a startup, we are a relatively lean organization,
Yeah.
but the people that we have are they're rock stars, and they bring new meaning to the word hustle and
Love
grit,
it.
and and they shine. It brings out the best in them. It really does. So yes, we are adding a couple of positions
Oh,
um, to our group. It's
that's
very exciting. It's a
that
very exciting time.
it is. It is. People always ask me like, how are things going at Fortress and at Elmington, the property management company I'm a part of? And my answer is, we're hiring. So like, if you're hiring in this market, I think that is a sign that things are going well for you
Yes,
compared to others. So
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And I find that is the key right there,
Hmm.
hiring the right people, the right person,
Yeah.
right people, right person.
Yeah.
That's it's crucial.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's hard.
It is hard.
How do
That part has not gotten easier.
no.
It doesn't. I mean, I feel like I've gotten smarter,
Yeah.
but sometimes I mean, you don't get it right, or you think you do, and you don't,
Yeah.
or you'll hit, you'll have a miss.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, how could I have known that?
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is. It is. Is there anything that you guys do that's unique or interesting about the hiring through the hiring process, or do you have any thoughts on how you figure out if someone is the right fit for you guys? Since it's seems like such guesswork these days.
I um, will not hire someone, um, certainly a leadership role, unless I speak with somebody who knows them,
Oh, I love that.
um, unless they have either worked with them or knows someone who has.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people interview really, really well. I don't think I ever did interview really well. I cannot talk my way out of a paper bag. I wish I could. I don't have that gift of gab. If I don't know the answer, you usually know I don't know the answer. Usually, but I will not hire a leadership position until I speak with somebody who knows them.
Mhm.
I'd prefer not to hire a leadership on site, a manager, until I know someone. So I'll speak with someone who knows them or has worked with them, because you
Mhm.
just don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
what you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, and we take that very seriously on our side too, is speaking to some form of a reference. We know we being at Fortress, we don't hire just within the real estate industry, so we have to go out. So there's a lot of groups where I don't have any way of knowing anyone they've ever worked with, but we absolutely do the
Right.
references. And another thing that we've started to do is that we actually do a group interview with people who will be that person's coworkers. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was getting ready to say that
Oh,
myself. I
yeah.
think it's very valuable. Within our group, we, again, depending upon the position, we will have the asset manager interview them, my boss, the COO, my boss. Um, if it's a regional manager, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I find everyone brings a different
Mhm.
perspective to the table. And I
Yep.
know what I'm focused on. So it is very helpful to have different perspectives,
Yeah.
and valuable. So we absolutely we put them through the ringer. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's painful. I think it's kind, but
Yeah.
I think it's time well spent. It
Yeah.
really is time well spent.
Yeah.
I want to hire people. Um, I'm in a hurry, but I don't want to rush. if that makes any sense. It sounds like a contradiction, but I want it to happen quickly, but
Yeah.
you don't want to rush.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that old saying, like hire slow and fire fast. I
Yes.
I wish I abided by that. I don't. My personal
I
preference
wish I
is
always had.
yeah.
I think I try to now, but I haven't always.
I still kind of go with the whole like hire fast and fire fast. Now, I do, but mainly because I think it's just so easy to keep looking and it's just so easy to, I don't know. I just have this thing where I'm like, just find three candidates and, go through a process, like have a process, and sometimes we even create tests for people. So like they have to take a physical test,
Yeah,
and like go
right.
through the process and then just pick one because like sometimes the best person just interviews really badly. You never know. So just like
That's absolutely
just
the
pick
truth.
someone.
That's absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
And you have to weed out so many people who just are not a fit.
Yeah.
A fit is very
Yeah.
important to us.
Yep.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's like when you know that person, when you interact with that person, you know it. You know if it's a fit or not, and that's extremely important
Yeah.
to Parktown Living. It's important to our parent company. It's crucial.
Yeah. Yeah. I read once, I can't remember what book it was. But anyway, it was a unique book about interviewing and hiring. And one thing that they recommended was actually doing group interviews, but with a group of candidates. So you would actually bring it, let's say you're hiring for a
Oh, wow.
yes. So let's say you were hiring for a regional manager position. You would bring in like three or four regional
Gather all the candidates.
yes, you would bring in 3 or 4 of those
How
candidates in.
interesting.
Yes, and there's 2 parts to it. Like, first, there's just an expediency part, so, like, you immediately just get to, like, g say all the things about the job and whatever, but then you get to give them and you get to ask them questions, and you give each of them a turn answering, and one thing that, this book would argue is that that gives you the opportunity to really see what a person is like because while candidate A is answering, candidate B is either like nodding and engaged or playing on their phone or like
Oh, gosh. Right.
making ugly faces or whatever it is. And so anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I've never done it, but I think it would be really fun to try.
Yeah, it would be it would be fun. I'm not sure it'd be productive for me, but it
Yeah.
would be kind of interesting
Yeah.
to see what happens.
Yeah, just see what people do.
Yeah.
um Well, with all this hiring and the changes that you guys are going through right now and the growth, are there any initiatives, like any corporate initiatives or tech initiatives or change management that you guys are doing right now?
You know, we are not run by technology. I think we we rely on it. We rely on it to
Yeah,
remain current,
yeah,
and I think we do a good job of that.
yeah,
Um, and we absolutely um, believe in setting goals and you know being honest with people and candid and giving feedback even when feedback's hard. Not giving feedback is not being kind
yeah.
to people.
Agreed.
I think it's one of the things I just through the years and doing this, um, I've learned you're not doing anybody any favors because you don't want to hurt their feelings. I mean, it's not anybody's goal. Something I don't set out to hurt someone's feelings,
Of
but
course.
you realize, how how do our investors feel
Mm-hmm.
about if this is not the right person or if this is not happening the way that it should be? I think you have to change your mindset and think
Yep.
of it that way.
Yeah. Whenever I have a team member who comes to me and they're leading someone and they're complaining about that person that they're leading, and they're like, we had a conversation and she said this and I was frustrated. And my immediate response is, did you tell them? Did you say that? Did I say what? Did you say that you were frustrated with them? Well, no. If it was you, in that spot and you had frustrated your boss, would you want me to tell you? For example, let's say
Hmm.
you and I are having a conversation. You say
Right.
something that frustrates me. Do you want me to tell you that I'm frustrated, or do you want me to go tell my boss that I'm frustrated about you? And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And so I'm like, if you just put yourself in those shoes, you'd always rather be told than not.
Always,
Yeah.
always. And you're not doing them any favors
No.
by not being honest with them.
Yeah.
There is certainly a way to deliver the information in
Yeah.
a professional way, um, in a way that's respectful, um, not demoralizing,
Yeah.
but you're not doing anyone any favors if you are not candid and
Yeah.
give them upfront feedback.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna throw us into a small tangent here, but I just read a book. It's actually an Audible book, and it's like $5 or something. I mean, you probably get it for free somewhere else. I don't know, but a book by Sam Harris, and it's called maybe Lying or Lies. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But it's only an hour long, and it's so
Oh, wow.
interesting. He argues that you should never. Really, that you should never lie. Even like the little white lies. You should never lie.
Mm-mm. Right.
And which is like hard, you know? I mean, that's a hard concept to swallow, like thinking that you would never have a reason to lie. I mean, in fact, I was just like telling my 14-year-old son, like, this is terrible. But, my son's going through a phase right now where, he's doing things because his friends are telling him to do things or because his friends are
Right.
doing things, right? And I said, like, there are instances in which if it's so uncomfortable for you to, you know, say no, then you could make up a lie about like you have to go home because your brother has something going on or whatever. Like you can't participate in whatever it is that they're about to do because you have to go home because something's happening. And then I listened to this book and I was like, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have done that." Like I don't know if that's true or not, but
Right.
anyway, he would argue that, it doesn't, no matter how bad the situation is, like he actually gives an example of a really extreme example of like a killer who is trying to kill this like a child, and the child comes to your house and you provide refuge to the child. The child's in your house, right? And the killer shows up at your door and is saying, like, is the child there? And the argument would be that you shouldn't say no in that moment, that instead you should say, even if he was, I wouldn't tell you anyway. Like, of course I would not tell you this.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, what's going on with you and how can I help you? Like, cause
Hmm.
and no one here is going to tell you even if the child's there. So anyway, it's just a really interesting concept. It's like,
It is
there's
interesting.
always a way to have a conversation without lying. And then of
Right.
course he gave some really cute examples of that one was dark, I know, I'm sorry, but he also gave some some really cute examples of like a couple, a man and a wife, who were arguing about the woman's friends that were going to come stay a night at their house while they were traveling. And he was like, I hate the husband, he's such a jerk, like I wish they weren't staying here. And she's like, well, I already offered. And he's like, fine. And their 5-year-old daughter hears this, and then the couple shows up at the door and the dad goes to the door and he's like, oh, it's so nice to see you guys, we're so glad you're here. And the 5-year-old girl's like, you literally just said you didn't want them
Oh
here,
my gosh.
it's like,
Right.
and it's like, instead of the dad saying, I'm so glad you guys are here, like it's so nice to see you and whatever, it could just be like, how was your trip? Like you just don't have to
Right.
lie. There's just so many other things to say. But anyway, I think about it in the context of work a lot. And I'm like, we say things all the time where we're like constantly trying to like buffer around people's feelings and like not be honest about the situation instead of just not lying, like whether
Not
that's
lying.
being super
Yeah.
direct or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it ever serves anybody well
Yeah.
to do that. Brene Brown, one of
Yeah.
her books, um, in fact, I just remembered this, um, talks about candor
Yeah.
and how, um, not giving feedback is no feedback is not kind.
Yeah.
And it is kind to give someone feedback. You're doing them a disservice if you don't.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not necessarily pleasant,
Mhm.
but it's crucial. I am to the point in my career, and certainly for for our investors, for the actual owners of the real estate, where I changed my mindset.
Yeah.
This is not helping anybody
Yeah.
if we don't try and make our people or have people who are doing the absolute best that anyone could do,
Mm-hmm.
and not giving them feedback is not helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just not.
It's so interesting that most of us are so aware of it. In fact, if you ask people, the top like 10 reasons
No.
why people leave a job, like one of the most often responded answers is that I wasn't getting enough feedback or I wasn't getting enough
Yeah.
transparency or guidance in how I could be better. And yet we're all afraid to tell people like how they could be better. It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
It is. It really is. And I'm not sure where that comes from,
Yeah.
and where it started. Where it
Mm-hmm.
started and why it continues.
Yeah.
I think somebody has to break that. Someone in the organization, if they're aware of it, has to
Mm-hmm.
break it,
Yeah.
and make sure it stops.
Yeah.
It can lead to a very lethal path, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Well, Patty, I'm gonna kind of shift just a minute because
Okay.
you and I had a conversation about something pretty personal before, and I'm going to start actually by saying the same thing that I said to you when we first started chatting, that your office is beautiful and
Well, thank you.
the furniture behind you is gorgeous, and there's a story behind that.
There is a story behind it. Um, I actually dabble in woodworking.
That's
And
so
so I
amazing.
built everything in this during the pandemic. When we were working, I built my desk. I did not build the paintings. I built the bookcases and the credenza. I built everything in here.
That's amazing. That's so
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. You could do it. You
Oh,
really could. If you have a desire and you can read instructions, it's like cooking. You can do that.
uh,
And I was working from home and I thought, every desk I would see, I'm like, oh, I like that, but gosh, it was crazy expensive. I don't want to spend that much money for it. I bet I can build that. And sure enough, I did. So it's very therapeutic, and
yeah.
I get a big kick out of it.
Yeah, well, it's gorgeous, and I'm just so
Well,
impressed.
thank you. Thank you.
It's like saying everyone can bake. Some people can't. I mean,
Right,
maybe everyone can. But for some people,
right,
it's going to rise correctly, and for others, it's going to sink. Like, it's just.
right.
um,
Yeast, and quick breads are quite have two different personalities.
yes, yes. Well said. Well said. And then we talked a lot about, your time in getting started at Parkdown and how crazy of a period of life that was for you. So, I if you are open to it, I'd love for you to share your story and kind of what happened to you during that
Sure,
period of time.
certainly. I Parktown began um, August 1st. That was when we were born,
Yeah.
and I had put in a fairly long notice at my prior company.
Yeah.
And so I planned to join August the 1st. We were taking over properties at the same time. And then a week later, my husband passed away. Obviously, to say it's a challenging time is an understatement.
Yeah.
And it was a fairly quick, um, he had a brain bleed. And so he went to the hospital July 27th.
Mhm.
And, um, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So we certainly we're not expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
So he died August the 9th of 23. And it, I mean, you're in such a state of shock
Yeah.
that it's hard to articulate. Um, our parent company just was so wonderful and so kind during that time. What was, to sort of bring this full circle a little bit, I thought as it relates to starting managing this company, I thought these people they don't know me. I don't really know them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had, been in an environment where people had known me for years,
Yeah.
um, and I knew them. Um, and I really thought, this is not going to be easy. Um, but I thought, I know I can do this. And you just sort of have to look beyond your circumstances.
Yeah.
Um, and, and that's what I tried to do. And I think it also served me well.
Yeah.
Frankly, it was, not an easy time. It's not, it's grief is not a process. I'm sorry, it is a process. It's not a period in time. It is a process.
Yeah.
It's sort of been more of an unraveling than oh, I'm over this, or I'm not over this.
Yeah.
It's sort of an unraveling. It is definitely, it doesn't go like this. It goes like this, up and down. But I certainly, it's just it's part of the plan. It's
Yeah.
part of what's going on right now, and I feel stronger for it. Um, and being able to sort of step outside of yourself and go, these people are never going to get to know what we're trying to do here, or get
Mm-hmm.
to know me,
Yeah.
unless I just look beyond it.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not the only person who's ever been through this, certainly, but I've learned from it, and hopefully the people around have learned from it as well.
Yeah.
So don't want to go through it again. It is not for the faint of heart, I will say that.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you sharing that story. And I actually think that it's so meaningful to share it. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable because, as you mentioned,
No,
like a
thank
lot
you.
of people have gone through something
They
similar.
have.
And
Hmm.
it's always nice to know that you're not alone. And,
That's right.
when you and I were first chatting about it, you very vulnerably acknowledged the fact that it was hard to almost pretend to be someone that you weren't in those moments, like that you had to kind of put on a face, which obviously is not the most comfortable thing for you because you are so authentic as a human. But then looking back, you realize that it was the right thing. It was the right thing for you
Yeah,
to do
it
that
was
too.
absolutely the right thing. And I
Yeah.
think, and I certainly don't want to, I'm not a martyr. I don't want to be a martyr. That is not becoming. But I also think it's it's okay to be vulnerable. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so okay
Yeah.
to be vulnerable. Lots of times I mean, life happens
Mm-hmm.
to all of us.
Yeah.
And, I think you accept it and you move past it. You get past it,
Yeah.
and, and make a better company and a better person, and better leaders,
Yeah.
in the process. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so, um, it's, it's such a great way of looking at the situation and not judging yourself, but instead like being open to who you
mhm,
who you were at the time, what you were going through, what you needed, what the company needed because like you said, still at the end of the day, you were joining a brand new company that you were really excited about and
yes, still
those
am.
yeah, and those and that team needed to know the 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 real Patty, but not just the real Patty in that moment, but like who you were as a human outside of that moment.
Right,
And so you had to,
right.
and I just think that that takes so much just grace and humility, like for yourself as a human, to let that be okay in that moment.
Well, thank you. As I said, I'm not the only person who's gone through tough times, but I think if they're not getting authenticity,
Yeah,
in a leader, nobody knows what they've got. No one knows
yeah,
who they're working with,
yeah.
and that is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I can tell you and I hit it off very quickly when we were chatting because we're both very authentic. We are who we are. You get what you get with us,
Yep. Yep.
which I love and just have so much respect for.
For all the good and bad
Yes,
it brings, it is what it is.
yes. You said it earlier that you, during an interview, you don't have the gift of gab. Like if someone asks you a question, you're just,
Nope.
yep, okay. So same.
Got that one.
Same. Yep. Yeah. If someone asks me something I don't know about, I'm the first to be like, "What do you mean? Like, what? I don't know what that word even means." Like, I'm just
I
the
know.
first to just
I
own
can
my
talk a little bit
ignorance.
about it, but
Yeah.
I was just better off saying, you know what, I don't know the answer to that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, Patti, I have enjoyed our conversation so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Oh,
appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it as well.
yes. Well, thank you. And you bring so much expertise to the industry. So this was just a wonderful conversation professionally and personally. And I know our listeners are going to enjoy it. And of course,
I hope so.
before we go, I just have two questions that I love to ask all of our guests. First, as we all know, if any one of us actually took the time to sit down and write up all the stories of that we've experienced in multifamily, we'd probably have a national bestseller on our hands pretty quickly.
Oh,
So I am asking all of my guests to share a story about their time in multifamily.
a story about my time in multifamily.
Yeah. I mean, it can be funny, it can be heart-wrenching, it can be scandalous. Your pick.
It's a little off color.
Go for it. That's my favorite, actually. See, we're
I
keeping
think
it
this is a
authentic.
funny story. I think this is a funny story. It goes back to my days of, I think I was a manager, but I was showing an apartment to this gentleman, um, and he was going through a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just down on the world. And everything he saw, nothing. He didn't like this apartment.
Oh.
He didn't like anything about this gorgeous property that I was managing at the time. I'd not been in Atlanta very long. And the gentleman was balding.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember we were walking to either a vacant or the model, and a bird decided to relieve himself right on top of the man's head. And the guy said, you know, the dirty bastards sing for everybody else, but they shit on me. And I just lost it. I don't know if you could even run this on a podcast. That was that was probably one of the, I mean, I've got several that having done this for many years, but that
Yeah.
I think, there's always humor in something. I think that's a pretty good one.
Oh, man. That's fantastic. Did he laugh at himself or was he just fussy?
No, I was dying. I was laughing so hard. Um, and
Oh, I
I
love
couldn't
it.
help it. I just lost it, of course.
Did he lease from you?
He actually did.
I have no doubt.
And he ended up being that resident, as you can imagine,
Oh
that everybody
no.
has. So anyway,
Oh, too
anyway,
fun. Too fun.
his negativity was almost part of his charm in a wacky kind of way. But
Oh,
I
too
thought that
funny.
was funny.
Man, talk about karma. If there was ever like,
No,
if there was
I know.
ever a reality to or a truth to the energy
Oh
you
my
put out into
God,
the
right?
world comes back to you.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, I love it. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
And then I'll end it with my newest question, the new question for this year, which our listeners love the books that we talk about on the podcast. So I'm asking if you have a book recommendation that you'd like to share.
I one of my all-time favorite books has nothing to do with property management, but it has been meaningful to me. Um, Your Best Life Now
Oh, okay.
by Joel Osteen. I
Okay.
also like Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
That was a really good book. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I love Brene Brown's podcast on leadership,
Yeah.
and Andy Stanley is also has a great leadership podcast series that I really like. But Atomic Habits was a really good book
Yeah.
that I would recommend.
Thank you. Those are some great recommendations. And I love that you threw some podcasts in there too, because
Yeah.
um, obviously our listeners are already on the platform. So that's a
Well,
fantastic
and Audible
recommendation.
too. Actually,
Yeah.
a couple of those were Audible books, not podcasts. But
Yeah.
when I exercise, I listen to them. So very
Yeah.
makes the time go fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a
And I learned
multitasker.
something in the
Yes.
process.
Yes, I agree. I'm a multitasker at that too. So, well, Patti, thank you so much again for
Thank
being here
you. I
with
appreciate
me.
it. Thank you
Yes,
so
it's
much.
just a
Thank you for
wonderful,
having me.
wonderful conversation. So,
Thanks so much.